The French Revolution was caused by many things. Social inequality was a very big part of this. The French government was divided into three estates. The first estate was the clergy. They were very privileged and were very well off. The second estate was the nobility, and they were also very well off and privileged. Then the third estate was everybody else. This includes peasants, just the workers and like slaves, and they were not well off. And this percent of the population was 98%. So this giant percent of the population that had no real political power and were being taxed a lot and had very few rights and privileges, causing them to disagree very strongly with the government. Not only that, but the French government also had very big economical crises. They had massive debt from multiple wars. A big one including the American Revolution left them in a lot of debt. The monarchy at the time, Louis, really liked to have a good lifestyle, and so he taxed the people very much to enjoy life. And all these taxes were not being passed on to the first and second estates. It was all going to the third estate, and these people already had nothing, and so they're already starving, and with the taxes they're just starving more, and this caused them to get very angry. And not only this, but Enlightenment ideas were going on at the time, such as Voltaire and Montesquieu, and all these philosophers were explaining their ideas and passing them around, and this really kind of sparked interest in this third estate that was already poor and had nothing, and they really wanted freedom of their speech, and they wanted separation of power so that they could have their rights. And the monarchy was very, very weak at the time, and they didn't know how to deal with the problem, and so the problem just kept growing, and it just kept growing till it broke and the revolution started.
The French Revolutionary War had a huge impact, not just in France, but all around the world. It made people think differently about power, government, and who should be in charge. Before the revolution, kings and queens had most of the power, and regular people didn't have many rights. But during the revolution, people in France fought back and said they wanted freedom, fairness, and equal rights for everyone, not just the rich or powerful. These ideas, liberty, equality, and fraternity, which means brotherhood, spread to the other countries. People in other places saw what happened in France and started to believe they could stand up for their rights too. It inspired other revolutions and movements that tried to bring more democracy and fairness into the government. The effects even reached colonies like Haiti, where enslaved people were inspired by the French Revolution to fight for their freedom and independence. So the revolution didn't just change France. It helped change the world by spreading new ideas about justice, rights, and how society should be run.
The rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon rose to power during the rough years of the French Revolution, capitalizing on political instability and his own military brilliance. Born in Corsica in 1769, he quickly distinguished himself at military school and rose through the ranks after the revolution began. His early success came in 1793 at the Siege of Toulon, followed by his triumph in crushing a royalist uprising in Paris in 1795. His Italian campaign in 1796 and 1797 made him a national hero, showcasing his tactical genius. In 1799, Napoleon overthrew the weak Directory government in the coup known as the 18th of Brumaire, becoming the first consul. By 1804, he crowned himself Emperor of the French, consolidating power and implementing sweeping reforms such as the Napoleonic Code, which modernized the legal system. At the height of his power, Napoleon controlled much of the continental Europe through the conquest and alliances. However, his ambitions led to overreach. The Peninsular War in Spain drained French resources, and his disastrous 1812 invasion of Russia devastated his grand army. Defeated by a coalition of European powers, he was forced to abdicate. In 1814, he was exiled to Elba. He briefly returned to power in 1815 during the Hundred Days, but was ultimately defeated at the Battle of Waterloo. Captured again, he was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena, where he died in 1821. Napoleon's legacy is complex. He spread revolutionary ideals, reshaped European politics, and left a lasting impact on legal and administrative systems worldwide. The Congress of Vienna. The Congress of Vienna was a major international conference held from 1814 to 1815, following the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte. Its primary goal was to restore stability and order to Europe, after more than 2 decades of revolutionary upheaval and war. The Congress was led by the influential statesmen such as Prince Metternich of Austria, Lord Castlereagh of Britain, and Tsar Alexander I of Russia, and Charles Talleyrand of France. These leaders sought to redraw the map of Europe, restore old monarchies, and establish a balance of power that would prevent any single nation, like the Napoleonic France, from dominating the continent again. The Congress reinstated many royal families to power that were earlier taken away, including the Bourbons in France, and they strengthened surrounding nations to contain future French aggression. It also created the German Confederation, merged the Netherlands and Belgium, and gave significant territories to Austria and Prussia. The decisions made at the Congress emphasized conservatism and suppression of revolutionary movements. While the Congress of Vienna succeeded in maintaining relative peace in Europe for nearly a century, it ignored growing nationalist and liberal movements, which would eventually lead to the revolutions later in the 19th century. Overall, the Congress marked a turning point in European diplomacy, laying the foundation for modern international relations.